Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Madam Mayor, it is 6:30. If you'd like to begin the meeting.
Good evening. I'd like to call the Yreka City Council meeting for August 4th, 2026 at 6:30 p.m. To order. And I'm going to invite our Finance Director, Emily Aldrich, to lead us in the Pledge of Allegiance, please.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. And will the clerk please take the roll?
Good evening, Yreka City Council. Please let me know you are in attendance by saying aye. Councilmember McCoy.
Aye.
Councilmember Davis.
Aye.
Councilmember Claire.
Aye.
Councilmember Baker.
Aye.
Thank you. And Councilmember Middleton is absent.
Thank you. Approval of the agenda. I would, with the council's approval, like to change the order of presentations this evening to begin with our update from our interim chief of police, Mr. Dirksen. So that's a request that I'm making.
I'll make a motion to approve the agenda with the changes.
I'll second that.
So I have a motion on the floor from Councilmember Claire, second by Councilmember Davis, to approve the agenda with a change in the order of item number 4, the presentations. All those in favor, please signify by saying aye.
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 Motion passes with Councilmember Middleton absent. So item number 4, presentations. Mr. Ibershoff.
Good evening, Mayor and Council and community members. My name is Will Ibershoff. I'm the city manager for the great city of Yreka, and tonight we're going to recognize one of our own who's excelled in his profession and is now raised to the rank of Chief of Police for the city of Yreka. So I'd like to invite the rather shy Patrick Dirksen down with his wife, Amy, please. Yes. So the mayor will now administer the oath of office, and your wife will pin you with the chief of police badge.
We're gonna put you in the middle. Under the city sign. Well, next to.
All right, my wife has arranged for cake and ice cream, but I can tell by the crowd and the size of the cake that I didn't buy a big enough. She didn't get a big enough cake, but if anyone would like to have a slice of cake and a scoop of ice cream, that is available and we can dish it up for you.
If I can get Chief Dirksen outside along with all members of YPD that have shown up to support him for some pictures, I would greatly appreciate it.
And we're gonna take.
And you all have to smile.
Take a 10-minute break. Thank you. So they said 20 years. Oh, yeah. Skype is. Also inspired by it. Yeah. Wow. They helped a lot. Very much on
Are we good, KJ? Anybody wants it?
Brandon's not there. He drives the water. I can go every guy. Yeah, he just got back. I was at the Stone Heads in South Dakota for a week and a half. For the fireworks there. Came back. Was home a couple days. Yeah. His hair. There. Came back. And he said that. Yeah. And about. Well, drives a water. That. Oh, yeah, I'm still on the rolls. Up and down.
Most of them. Yeah. That's probably about it.
Well.
So, yeah. It's one of the largest classes.
Yeah. Wait, yeah,
Shut up.
When Randy talked about
So I think it's. I think it's. The most. I'm just interested.
I think this Oh, yeah. Yes,
Sunday. I clean my house.
Oh.
It is, but I don't have.
Yeah.
Computer work.
And so we use. I'm super impressed.
All right, Madam Mayor, I believe we are ready to begin.
Thank you. I'd like to call the meeting back to order. And I forgot to mention at the beginning of the meeting, please silence your cell phones. And we are moving on to item number 4, which is presentations. And I understand that this is a joint presentation this evening. So I'm going to invite representatives from the Health and Human Services Department as well as the Siskiyou Community Food Bank to come forward. Welcome.
Good evening, Mayor and council members. My name is Trish Barbieri, and I'm Director of Social Services Division, and we are a division within the Health and Human Services Agency. Our agency administers federal, state, and local social service programs for the County of Siskiyou. We employ about 130 staff who work in about 16 unique social service programs. And the program that we're here to talk about today is SNAP, or the Supplemental Nutrition Assistance Program. In California, the program is referred to as CalFresh. So we may say SNAP, we might say CalFresh, but it means the same thing. Basically, it's a federal program that the states administer. Although we work for the county, our oversight is really through the California Department of Social Services and the Department of Healthcare Services. We've been invited today to briefly discuss House Resolution 1, or HR 1, which introduced significant changes to the Supplemental Nutrition Assistance Program. So SNAP is the United States' largest federal anti-hunger program, and it provides food benefits to low-income individuals and to families to ensure access to nutritional meals. In California, this program, as I mentioned, is referred to as CalFresh. In Siskiyou County alone in June, we served over 5,400 cases for CalFresh. We're here to provide a brief overview, which will capture the elements of HR 1, highlight its key provisions, and also key changes to SNAP. And that includes stricter work requirements. We're going to talk a little bit about changes in eligibility criteria and also modification to benefit calculations.
Good evening. My name is Corey Watson. I'm a Deputy Director with Social Services. I'm going to start off tonight's presentation. The first thing that we're going to talk about is the Thrifty Food Plan. So the Thrifty Food Plan is a federal meal plan used to calculate CalFresh benefit amounts. Due to HR 1, reevaluation of the Thrifty Food Plan will not occur earlier than October 1st, 2027. Historically, this plan is reevaluated every year, and then CalFresh benefits to household families goes up. So that will not occur due to HR 1 for all CalFresh households.
Good evening. My name is Jamie Kimball. I'm the program manager for CalFresh and Medi-Cal at Siskiyou County Health and Human Services. I'm going to speak a little bit about the impacts to our households directly due to the HR 1 and CalFresh. It starts with the ABOD is going into effect. ABOD is our adults, able-bodied adults without dependents. And effective June 1st, it went into effect that if you're between the ages of 18 and 64, and you don't have a dependent child under the age of 14, that you're required to meet participation rules to receive CalFresh, and that if you don't meet these rules, you cannot receive CalFresh more than 3 months in a 36-month period. In the past, California has had an ABOD waiver due to unemployment, but that has went away. There's only 7 counties now that qualify for the waiver, and they have unemployment rates that are over 10% that qualify them for that. And that is Alpine, Colusa, Imperial, Merced, Monterey, Plumas, and Tulare. To meet the ABOD rules, participants or individuals, they have to have a job, volunteer, or be enrolled in school or a job training program for an average of 20 hours a week or 80 hours a month. The other big change is for our non-citizen recipients. Effective April 1st of this year, certain non-citizens are no longer eligible. CalFresh eligibility is now limited to U.S. citizens, lawful permanent residents that meet the 5-year requirement or have an exemption, Cuban Haitian entrants, or residents of the U.S. under the Compacts of Free Association, or COFA, which would be individuals from Micronesia, Marshall Islands, and Palau. Asylees, refugees, parolees, individuals with deportation or removal withheld, conditional entrants, victims of trafficking, battered non-citizens, Iraqi and Afghan with special visas that are not LPRs, certain Afghan nationals granted parole from July 31st to 21 through September 30th of 23, and certain Ukrainian nationals granted parole from February 24th of 2022 to September 30th of 24 are no longer eligible. All of these individuals were previously eligible to CalFresh. Approximately 74,000 lawfully present immigrants that were previously eligible under humanitarian protections are no longer eligible to CalFresh under the HR 1 changes.
Good evening. My name is Kirk Hendricks. I'm the Deputy Director of Admin Services. I'm here to talk about the financial impacts of this. So the first portion of it is on our assistance side, so the amount of money we give to the customers. Historically, the federal government has covered 100% of these payments. Starting federal fiscal year 2028, which is October 1st, 2027, the state may be liable for a portion of those benefits depending on what is called the PER, which is the payment error rate. If the state's payment error rate is above 6%, they have to contribute part of those benefit amounts. At this time, we're unsure of like what that will look like at the county level, because the state of California is one of the few states that have county workers instead of state workers. So we're currently awaiting guidance from CDSS on how that's going to affect us. The next type of financial impact is administrative cost sharing. So historically, the federal government's covered 25 or 50% of all administrative costs. The state chips in 35, and then the county's liable for the 15. The federal government's dropping down to 25%. So then the state will cover 70% of the non-federal rate, and then the county covers the rest. For the county of Siskiyou, that's looking at about $950,000 per year to an increase in our budget. And then the last is I have some caseload statistics. So in the month of June, we had 5,434 cases consisting of 8,855 individuals who received CalFresh. We issued $1,632,454 of benefits in the month of June alone. Of those 8,855 individuals, 2,692 reside in the city of Yreka. And then in June 2026, there were approximately 628 individuals who are required to participate in the ABOD work activities that they mentioned. Of those 628, 182 are in Yreka. This equates to approximately $138,160 in CalFresh benefits monthly. If these individuals are non-compliant with ABOD requirements, the local economy could be significantly impacted.
I hope from our presentation, you see the urgency and the need for us to collaborate with our food banks and with other local providers across the nation, the rolls have decreased significantly already, and it hasn't even been, well, it's been a little bit over a year since HR 1 was passed. I think it was passed in June of 25. Significant decreases have happened, let alone in Arizona. I'll use them as an example. Their SNAP rolls have decreased already by over 50%. So that's the highest in the nation in terms of the decrease. And I think that the lowest in the nation is maybe 2%. It's anywhere from 2% to 55% nationwide. Every state has experienced a decrease. There's no states that have experienced an increase during this last year. I'm up.
Good evening. I am Laura Leach, President and Executive Director of Siskiyou Community Food Bank, and I would like to share some of how this affects us here locally. So first, a few statistics for my food bank. We, so far this year through July 31st, we have served 1,691 households for a total of 2,555 household members. So the people that come to us to get food are low income, and it's much lower income than the standard income barriers are. So our guidelines are less. And on an average, the people that we serve, we provide them anywhere from 65 to 100 pounds of food on a monthly basis. And it depends on the household size for that. One person to two people are 65 pounds a month, whereas a family of 8 may get over 100 pounds of food. And this is groceries for the most part. We provide a bag of staple foods, beans, rice, peanut butter, cereal, hot or cold, tuna, pasta sauce. There's a bunch, canned vegetables, canned fruits, all of those. And then we are also part of Feeding America food rescue program. And so we receive food that's about to expire from our grocery stores locally here. And that helps us to provide our participants with fresh meat, deli food, milk, butter, eggs, and anything else they want to give us to share. So we do that. With the impact of the HR 1 SNAP CalFresh cuts, looking at other states that have been doing this for about a year now, they show an increase of more people going hungry, people skipping meals. Maybe the mom doesn't eat so the kids can eat. Other health risks, children, seniors, pregnant, people with disabilities, managing chronic illness. There's going to be more pressure on food banks and food pantries in order to supply and try to meet the needs of the people. And then it's also going to affect the amount spent here locally. So for now, when they get their CalFresh benefits, they can just go to one of the grocery stores and spend that as cash and buy the food that they want. Whereas those may now have to face some cuts, either totally because they only can get it 3 months out of a 3-year period, or different things. They're not meeting all of the requirements and the eligibility responsibilities that they have. But they still need food. So I think that the food banks, and I'm not the only one in town, but the food banks are going to see an increase in need. And so the big thing that the other states have listed is increased food insecurity, economic strain, reduced municipal budgets for public safety, higher crime rates in affected areas, ripple effects on neighborhoods and retail, and long-term public trust and safety concerns and issues. So they've seen an increase in crimes, theft, burglary, and those type of incidents. Because if you're not going to get their food somewhere, they're going to figure out another way that they're going to eat. So that is a large concern for the food banks and probably everybody. So I want to encourage the city to consider supporting the food banks. And like I said, I'm not the only one in town. So, equally, but I do think that our population here in Yreka, the people that live here in Yreka that come to us, we have a huge number of seniors and veterans and disabled and are regularly low income. Their needs are going to increase, where in some of the other states, they noted that people are back to trying to decide, do they buy food, pay the electric bill, or buy their medicine? So that kind of conflict in each household could become a very important detriment if we don't kind of head this off a little bit. And so that's what I am here for tonight, is to let you be aware of what's happening and potential ways to intercede and stop, or at least keep at bay, some of the negative impacts that this can have. And that's all I have.
So thank you so much. This is very sobering information to receive. Had no idea of these impacts. Personally, I had no idea. So I appreciate you providing this information to us. And we don't have a lot of time this evening, but if there are any council members that have brief comments or that they'd like to make. You're good? Okay. All right. So thank you, and I'll be in touch.
Thank you. You're very welcome. Have a good
Thank
evening.
you. Okay, item number 5 on our agenda is public comments. Public participation is welcomed and invited at all city council meetings. This time is set aside for residents to address the city council on matters listed on the consent agenda, as well as other items not included on the regular agenda. If your comments concern an item noted on the regular agenda, please address the council when that item is open for public comment. The city requests that persons addressing the city council refrain from making personal, slanderous, profane, or disruptive remarks. Please speak into the microphone from the podium, and the podium adjusts electronically to accommodate the speaker. Please address the council as a whole. Please state your name for the record prior to providing your comments, and please limit your remarks to 3 minutes. Do I have any public comment this evening?
Thank you, Madam Mayor. My name is Janet Johnson, Johnson. I'm a resident and property owner in Yreka, California. I'm here to express my support for the Yreka Fire Department. I have lived in this community for 36 years and I've seen many volunteers come and go. My current concern is fire. I live in a subdivision that is surrounded by property as well as which has homes sitting on it as well as a lot of acreage. What I am seeing in my community is weeds that are growing as much as 3 feet high. I see star thistle, mustard, marleyhand mustard, and other types of weeds. And the property owners are not tending to those weeds. They are not in compliance with the Yreka City Municipal Code Weed Abatement Ordinance. I have been to City Hall 3 times and spoken to Ranjit Mann about the areas that I'm specifically aware of. I have shown him photographs of those areas in my neck of the woods, which is close to where Mr. McCoy lives. My concern is that we are entering into the peak of fire season if we're not at the peak already, and that all it is going to take is someone throwing a cigarette out a window or someone mowing their lawn, and we are going to have a huge fire on our hands. There is an overabundance of weeds this year. We have had a bumper crop. People cannot just weed whack or mow the weeds one time and think they have fulfilled their commitment as citizens. As property owners, we have to own the responsibility that goes along with it. We need to comply with the city weed abatements ordinance, which is codified in the Yreka Municipal Code. My concern is that even though I've been to City Hall and I have had the opportunity to speak with our wonderful fire chief, Jerry Lemos, about this issue, that nothing is visibly changed. My conversations began in May, and here we are in August. When I spoke to the former city manager, Jason Ledbetter, and I showed him photographs of this area, and I also spoke to city council member Corey Middleton, who came out to post a sign when he was running for re-election, and I showed him around my subdivision. They both concurred that this was a disaster waiting to happen. Jason Ledbetter's words were, "This is a paradise fire waiting to happen." We all know about the tragedy of Paradise Community. I don't know what would happen to the Yreka city tax base if we burned. I know that we have a wonderful group of volunteer firefighters whom I've had the pleasure of see train on a twice monthly basis. And I see them go out on calls regularly, not just fire, but as well medical. I want to bring this matter to your attention for action. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Do I have any other public comment at this time?
Hi, my name's Megan Martin, and I live in the Northview Estates. And I just so happened to be out walking the other day and saw at least 4 lots that the weeds were about this high. I think property owners have mowed them once or weed whacked once, but now they're really high again. There's a property on Discovery Street that borders my property. It's 6.34 acres. It's, I think, owned by gentlemen that live out of the area. They didn't do the 40 feet out from the fence that they were supposed to do. I know that CAL FIRE has been taking care of all the growth behind our homes, and they've done a great job, but nothing's happening close to us. And I just worry that if there is a fire, also there are a bunch of blackberries that are growing right on the sidewalk you can't walk through on the corner of Discovery Street and Northview Drive. It looks like they've cleared the fire hydrant area, but not the rest. And then on the other side, there's a bunch of blackberries as well. And I've noticed that this is mainly people that don't live here. Everybody else takes pride in their homes, but the people that are not here aren't keeping up with the abatement ordinance. And I would just love to see some attention out there if possible. Thank you.
Thank you. Any other public comment? Right, we'll move on to item number 6, the consent agenda. All matters listed under the consent agenda are considered routine and non-controversial and will be enacted by one motion unless any member of the council wishes to remove an item for discussion. What are the wishes of the council?
Councilman Clare, I make a motion to adopt the consent agenda, of the city of the council of the city of Yreka as presented.
This is Councilman McCoy. I'll second that agenda item. Second that motion, excuse me.
I have a motion by Councilmember Clare, second by Councilmember McCoy to approve the consent agenda as presented. All those in favor, please signify by saying aye. Aye.
Aye.
Aye.
Aye.
Motion carries with Councilmember Middleton absent. Okay. Item number 8 is city business. It's our finance director who is here to talk with us about a financial quarterly report. Good evening.
Good evening, council. On a completely side note, are these anyone's keys? Nope. Okay. Found them in the lobby. I just thought I'd ask before anybody went home tonight. Before you today is what's I hand to you. So Mr. Ibershoff brought this to me when he first came on, and he was asking what type of presentations have we been giving to the council regarding our financial status of where we are. We give you guys a monthly cash flow statement. We give you a monthly financial overview, but we don't really go over it. So he suggested something that he had been doing in a previous city that is much more of a very high level of this is where we're currently at. So I'm going to give a lot of prefaces on this so that nobody panics. This is not all of our revenue. This is not all of our detailed expenses. There's a lot of different things that go in here, but we just wanted to highlight our major revenue consumers, providers is a better word. This is as of 6/30/2026. As you may or may not know, the city is on an accrual basis of accounting, which means I have to account for revenues that we receive in August that actually were earned in June. So case in point, I don't get June's sales tax until August. So once I receive that, I have to do a journal entry so that it shows up in the previous year. Same for expenses. If we order something and receive it in June and we don't pay for it till July, I have to put that expense back into the correct fiscal year. So this is where we're currently at for 6/30/2026. We received 97.7 of our budgeted property taxes, so we were pretty on point there. Our franchise fees actually came in higher than in what we anticipated. So that's always a good thing when revenue comes in higher than anticipated. And we estimated our water and sewer utility fees on point. Slightly less, but I can't guess how much consumption people are going to consume. As we move down the report, our general fund, some of our departments, this is not all of them broken out. It is just the major ones that most people would like to look at. Our police did well. They came in under budget at 93%. Nicely done. I'll give you credit on that one, Pat. Fire came in under as well. I think we ended up getting some grant funding for things that we'd previously budgeted for, but we were able to get the grant for, so our budget looks better. General government expense, a little bit over, but we got a new city manager and we got to get him on board and all that good stuff. So that's not unsurprising. Community development was a little over. I think they ended up having a couple more projects that they were not known at the time when we originally budgeted, which happens on that type in the planning world. That's kind of what happens is you don't know who's going to walk through the door and need the assistance and the support. As we move down into our water fund, we're doing good in water fund. Again, I'm gonna remind you all that I don't have all of the expenses in because they haven't been given yet. I haven't got the invoices for them. Wastewater as well. I know our wastewater is currently working on a trying to get grant funding to do a complete overhaul of the wastewater. I don't think it's been touched since like the 60s, I want to say. So they are towing the line to keep it operable and working, but they're not doing any major improvements to the wastewater. Street operations have done well this year. I know next year with that rubber sealed chip that they're planning on doing, some of this money that they saved, they're going to be using towards that project. So there's been a lot of what didn't we do? How can we move those funds to help us support next year's project to get accomplished? And then we have our special revenue funds for fire tax and landfill assessment, which are both pretty on point. So it's just an overall view. It's not detailed. These are not audited numbers. Just to brief preface that, I don't want anybody running around town being like, oh, this is what it is. We're not done yet. We won't even know when we're done until November. So if anybody has any questions, if you could let me know, or I plan on bringing this back every quarter. Okay. So when I bring this back in October, it's going to look the exact opposite of this. You guys are going to be like, we are not bringing in enough money. And because remember, we're 2 months off. So you'll only have 1 month of income when I bring it back next quarter for like sales tax and stuff, if that makes sense. So there's kind of a timing issue that's part of this that I don't want anybody to be worried about. It's just the timing of how those accruals work.
So will we get a report like this once all of the accruals are done so that we can have a snapshot of how we did in fiscal year
I'll be bringing you the
25,
audit,
26?
but I can do it in this same format if that's what you would like. But I do have to bring back the audited financials that the auditors have blessed that will include all of those accruals.
So I really like this format because it gives us like a snapshot picture, understanding how government financing works. You've done a great job of educating us. Thank you. But I really like this. This is a quick, easy way to get an idea of where we are. And I actually would like to see this at the, once the fiscal year is closed out, something like this.
I can do that. I can bring it back with the accruals included.
What does the rest of council think? Is this something that you find helpful? Or do you looking for something different?
It's helpful to me. I don't need to see it personally once I look at the audit, because the audit tells me everything. Tells me a lot more than this, but others may want to see it.
And if there's more detail, like if you'd like a different general fund department broken out differently. For example, code enforcement is included in here, but I don't have it broken out. We can always do that as well.
So I actually would like to see code enforcement broken out.
Okay.
Yeah, I think that that's important.
And this form has a very technical name to it.
Red sheet, green sheet.
I
You're either
love
red or
that.
you're green. It's actually saved as that because I could never remember what I labeled it.
Any other questions? Okay, I'll open this up for public comment now. Do I have any public comment? There's no public comment, so I'll bring it back to council. This is not an action item. It's just information only. So thank you very much. I appreciate this. Okay. Item 8B is our planning manager. The agenda title is the 2026-38 Jones Conditional Use Permit for the construction of a metal shed in the historic district. Good evening.
Good evening, members of the council and Madam Mayor. This is Alia Roca, your planning manager, and if the city clerk could please put the slides on the screen. We are back with the Jones conditional use permit tonight with a glamorous PowerPoint to go along with it. The applicants are also here tonight. They came up from San Diego over the weekend, so grateful to them for being here. So next slide, please, Cindy. So this is an action item tonight. There are 3 options: to approve the conditional use permit with conditions, deny the project. The reasons for denial must be documented and supported by substantial evidence. I will provide an explanation of what substantial evidence is on the next slide. And your third option is, like we did last time, refer back to staff due to insufficient information that is needed to make findings, if additional conditions are needed, or if there are public concerns about the project that require further investigation. Next slide, please. CUP findings and substantial evidence. To approve a conditional use permit, the council needs to make findings as prescribed in the Yreka Municipal Code. To deny the conditional use permit, the council must explicitly state on the record which findings cannot be made, and those statements must be backed by substantial evidence in the record tonight. What is substantial evidence? It is enough relevant information and reasonable inferences from it that a fair argument can be made to support a conclusion. What counts as evidence? Facts, reasonable assumptions predicated upon facts, and expert opinion supported by facts. Next slide, please. So to start off, I want to provide a general map of the general location. The subject property sits at 403 3rd Street within the Yreka Neighborhood Historic District at the northwest intersection of 3rd Street and Howard Street. The property is surrounded by neighborhoods and is close to I-5 and city services. Next slide, please. This is a zoomed in version, so it might be a little hard to see, but the subject lot is lot 1. I'm just going to point it out on the screen. That is the subject property. So in terms of lot coverage, which is, the coverage of structures and development on the lot, with the addition of the 1,800 square foot shed, lot coverage would still only be 23% total, and that's including the new metal shed. And the cap for the zone, which is an R1 single family residential zone, is 40% lot coverage. I also wanted to show you in this photo that the subject property is 3 to 4 times bigger than the average size of surrounding properties in the historic district. And there's much less lot coverage. So if you see the neighboring parcels, there's 40% plus coverage with the homes, with the garages. So in terms of scale, this project would still keep the lot well under the 40% limit allowed for the zone that the lot sits in. So yeah, just a note, you could just see visually the surrounding properties, the size and the lot coverage, how there is a big discrepancy with the lot. On here it says number 1, that's 403 3rd Street. So there's plenty of room for a structure of this size. Next slide, please. Oh, this is just what I talked about just now, just even more zoomed in for reference with the lot coverage. And you can see how much space there is on the 403 3rd Street property. Next slide, please. This is to the south. Next slide, please. I wanted to include a photo of the primary residence because the metal shed will be painted to match with the light blue and the white trim, including it'll have window moldings that match the primary residence. So visually, it will blend with the lot, with the house, and with the historic district. Next slide, please. Here's the So here's the proposed site plan. The footprint of the proposed shed is 30 by 60 or 1,800 square feet. It's positioned on the back of the lot behind the house, and it is 30 feet from the side Howard Street. So this distance. That's a 30-foot setback from the side, and it's 50 feet setback from the closest structure, which is their detached garage. Next slide, please. This is the landscaping and tree screening plan to screen the shed from view, from the public view from Howard and 3rd Street. So some of the proposed and existing trees include oak, birch, maple, pine, fruit varieties. Those will be lining the perimeter, not just up close to the shed, but also lining the property line for even more screening. Next slide, please. These are the building elevations of the actual structure. You can see the front and rear wall elevations and the left and right wall elevations. This is just a visual of what the project will look like, and a note that the shed will sit at 13 feet high, which is 2 feet lower than what is allowed in the zone, which is up to 15 feet for structures. Next slide, please. These are some 3D renderings, so you can see it generally in the blue tones, white trim. Next slide, please. So we have 7 required findings for this CUP. So the first one is the historic architectural compatibility. And just before I dive in, these are brief summaries of how the project meets the findings. If the council would like to go through the findings in more detail, we can do that. I would just refer to the agenda packet at the end if you have any specific questions on the specific findings, and we can do a deeper dive. I just wanted to keep it high level for now, but we can go into as much detail as needed. So number 1, the historic architectural compatibility. The primary residence will remain unchanged. It is not being touched with this project. The new structure will be complementary and subordinate to it with matching blue paint, 3/4-inch window moldings, and screened by newly planted trees. Number 2, neighborhood compatibility. This project is limited to private, non-commercial storage. So it would add no commercial activity or commercial traffic except for during the construction phase, which is normal, but that is temporary. So the larger footprint will fit the gardening equipment and antique furniture of the property owners. And again, the lot coverage stays at 23% with the new shed. Number 3, health, safety, and welfare. So the site is flat and needs only minimal grading during the construction. It'll sit on a 6-inch slab. There will be no electricity running to the shed, no plumbing. There will be no storage of any kind of chemicals, no gardening chemicals or anything like that. So noise, glare, and odor will not be an issue with this project. The building will be locked while not in use for security purposes, and the landscaping and keeping, items protected inside will protect property values of the surrounding area. Number 4, code and general plan compliance. The project is a residential accessory use that is consistent with the general plan's residential regulations. The shed allows for everyday household utility, allowable for most residences in the city, while also applying design treatments so that the shed matches the primary home and the historic district as a whole. Next slide, please. Number 5, zoning conformity. The matching paint, trim, and window moldings will address the concerns about inconsistencies with the material. So the metal will be painted to match the home, and the new trees will protect the structure from view. In terms of public facilities and services, I mentioned this previously, there will be no new water, sewer, electrical, or any utility connections. This will be a standalone structure. And the existing access from 3rd Street and Howard Street serve the site. It's on a corner lot. In terms of the effects of the project on housing inventory, the project is on an already developed single-family lot. It does not displace any housing, and it doesn't replace any lots that are set aside for housing. So it doesn't affect any lots or any kind of housing development in that sense. Future housing capacity, etc. Next slide, please. So in summary, there are 7 out of 7 findings supported by substantial evidence to approve this conditional use permit for the metal shed on the historic property. Again, there's just 23% lot coverage, which is well under the 40% maximum for the residential zone. And there will be no impact to traffic, utility hookups, or commercial activity. And then there are just 3 summary points at the bottom. It meets historic design compatibility. There's no adverse impact to neighborhood health, safety, traffic, or welfare. And it is in full conformity with the Yreka Municipal Code, the general plan, and the applicable zoning standards. Next slide, please. Next slide, please. So your possible actions tonight, again, number 1, which is the staff recommendation, is to approve the project with the conditions that are in your packet tonight. Option 2 is to deny the project, and we would talk about the reasons for denial and just, make sure that we're covering our bases in the record to substantiate the denial. Number 3, again, to refer it back to staff. If you still feel like there's insufficient information to make the findings, if you would like additional conditions on the project, or if there are any public concerns that require further investigation. That concludes my staff presentation. I do have some documents that the applicant asked me to pass out, and I will also invite the applicants to the podium to share some information with you. I'd like to come up.
Thank you.
Good evening, Mayor, City Council. My name's Jay Jones. I live at 403 3rd Street. We feel very privileged to own this historical home in Yreka. We look at this home as a retirement home, and that's why we're here. We moved to be closer to family. We've invested a lot of time and a lot of money over the last 3 years, and this is the final step in completing it. We believe everything needs to be put away and not hanging out in the yard, not cars in the front lawn, not motorcycles in the front lawn, not trash in the front lawn. We keep the yard up. We're doing the best we can, and we're working really hard at it. And we'd like your support. We'd like you to approve this so we can continue with our plans. And it's important to us. We haven't really made any other plans, but we might have to. We've been working with Aaliyah for a year now, and I worked with the gentleman that designed the plan, and I've spoken to the concrete man, and we're ready to go. We're just kind of wasting time here. and time is money. And, you know, we see a lot of problems on Howard and on Third, and we're actually making the community better. We believe we're investing in this community to make it better for us and our neighbors. It's going to certainly improve the property value, and we want it to be a home. And that's what we're trying to work on. And if you have any questions, I'll try and answer them. This isn't my favorite thing to talk in public, but
Thank you. I will also invite our planning manager back down to the podium as well, if the council has any questions at this point in time.
thank you.
Thank you. Okay, at this time, I will open this item up for public comment. Are there any public comments?
Hi, John Mercier, live at 410 3rd Street. They happen to be my neighbors. And I just wanted to clarify something. I was not at the last meeting, but it was brought to my attention by several members of the community that potentially Mr. McCoy had referenced that he spoke to myself or some of the other members of the neighborhood.
No, never did I reference.
That was not. So either way, though, I just want to make it clear that as a neighbor to these people, they're great neighbors. I think that this building would be an asset to the community. I think that they've done a great job of trying to improve the property, and I don't think that there would be anything detrimental as far as the historic district or anything goes with that. So I am very much in support of the project. Just wanted to clarify that. So
thank you. We have any other?
Well, I'm out of there. Hi, I'm Shauna Wilson, realtor here in Siskiyou County. And I just want you to know that I also support the project. These have been my clients for the last 3 years. They brought a lot to the street, 3rd Street. They want to be here. I want to welcome them. And I hope that you guys can support this project. I think the way it sits, I've been up and down 3rd Street since I watched the video playback from the meeting before. And I don't feel this is going to hurt 3rd Street one bit. Thank you.
Thank you. Are there any other public comments?
Hi, Mayor and council members. My name is Chris Thies. I live on West Lenox within the 300-foot radius of the subject property, and I'm in favor of it being built as well. Within the 300 feet, when I look from my house with the trees and the other roof lines, can't see it. It's barely visible from the street anyway. So I think it's gonna add value to the neighborhood. And once again, I'm in favor.
Thank you. If there's no other public comment, I'll bring it back to the council for discussion and possible action. So, Mr. McCoy, I'll start with you. Do you have comments?
Question, this goes to Alia. Do we have a sample of the metal, the color and the texture with us here tonight?
We do not. It would have been, I spoke with the applicant and it would have been difficult to bring, what is it, an 8-foot sheet of metal?
Well, no, they give you small.
They give you, okay.
They'll give you, when you buy these prefab steel structures,
Okay. Well, unfortunately, no, there's no sample tonight.
Okay. Do we have any artist rendering? I know you have those, what we saw, but do we have artist renderings that show what the windows are going to look like, what the molding is going to look like, what the color is going to look like? Do we have anything from the company that manufactures these buildings?
Not from the company or the manufacturer, but I did include that photo of the primary house that will be an exact match to those window moldings.
So, but without seeing the metal, we don't know, because that's a horizontal siding. And a lot of times they'll go vertical steel structures. So that would be something I would need to see in order to make a determination. And then on the two garage doors, for lack of a better word, that are going into it, they look like roll-ups.
I'm not sure. Are they roll-up doors?
So again, not period for the area, not period for the historic district. I'm looking at the map right here. I mean, that would be something too that I would like I've seen carriage doors put on those. They look like carriage doors, but they slide one way or the other. So that would be something that I think would make it more historically accurate, along with knowing what the color was going to be that goes on. Once we approve this, when it goes up, let's remember this from a historic standpoint. Once we approve this and it goes up, the city's not going to go back and say, change it. And I hear we have a lot of support here, from the Merciers and from locals. And believe me, John, I said nothing about you. What I did talk about was Michelle Hill's house that I've had complaints on, that's in your neighborhood. But no. The setbacks on Stage Alley and the setbacks on the one that's on the north side, what are the required setbacks and what are the setbacks on this building?
So the required rear setback is 5 feet.
Okay.
It's 6 feet. The required side setback, I believe, is 20 feet. I'm going to refer to the packet. I have a chart in there. So if anyone else wants to follow along with me, I'm on page 61 of the packet. The front minimum setback is 60 feet. The front of the proposed structure sits at 129 feet from the front. The rear is 5 feet. The structure sits at 6 feet from the rear. The side should be 20 feet on the exterior side since it's on a corner lot. And it's 30 feet.
Okay, so I didn't look like it was going on the exterior. Is it going on the exterior side? On the Howard Street side? Looks like it was going on was it going south side or the north side of the lot?
It's going on the west side of the lot. On the rear of the property. So the front of the house faces 3rd Street and the side is Howard Street. Cindy, can you pull up the PowerPoint again so we have a
I
visual?
may have looked at it wrong, so.
But I can assure you it meets all setback requirements. So there's the site plan. So I'm just gonna walk to the screen. This is the proposed. This is the house. B is the house on facing 3rd Street. The storage building is more than 50 feet from the house, 6 feet from the alley,
What's the setback on the north side?
15 feet.
Okay,
Which means.
so 10 is all that's required, I think, on
Yeah.
that side. Okay,
Five.
okay, thank you. And then as far as I love that, any trees that we can plant are wonderful. Are the trees that are going to be planted, or will they be mature trees, or will they take time to grow? And if so, how long are they going to take to grow? Or are they going to be 10 to 13 feet tall when they're planted?
My understanding is that they won't be planted as mature trees, but they are fast growing. I don't know how long they will take. Do you have any idea how long the trees would take?
Okay, and the applicants say they will be taking no electricity, no water, and no plumbing back to that shed.
That's
So
correct.
It's not going to have any light at night or anything like that. Okay.
Correct.
And it's a standalone structure, and you said it's being put just on a slab, so it doesn't require any kind of a footing. I know you have Tyler here somewhere. I assume Tyler's maybe here to put it. Tyler, are you putting it in?
If it gets approved.
When we say standalone structure, that's not something I'm familiar with. What does that mean, Tyler?
It would have a footing, 12-inch footing into the ground.
Okay, so it's not just a slab.
Yep.
Okay.
Just slab on grade.
Slab on grade.
Yep.
Thank you, Tyler. And then, is there the chance that electricity and water they'll want to put it in later?
I haven't discussed that with them. I don't believe so. Will you?
It's always a possibility that we look at that in the future, but not now. Okay. I mean, we're way overextended. Okay. Trying to do this. And, what Tyler, what brand of building is it? What company is gonna provide the steel and the, to be erected and all of the,
I'm not on that with the steel director.
okay. Do you know, is it a company that you use as far as the skin on it?
No, it's contracted.
Okay, yeah, that would be, I mean, I think we need to see the skin. It's
They're
gonna,
all pretty much.
what's that?
Probably 16 gauge and color that matches the house. So it really would be.
Okay, and do you know, is it gonna run horizontal or vertical?
I don't have.
Okay. Again, that would be something I'd like to know. And then, this was, I know what, how big's the footprint of the house?
I don't remember off the top of my head.
That would be something that I would want to know as well. These are all questions that I want to know before I could vote yay or nay on a project. And then the last thing is the owner, I'm just curious, you said you're not storing cars, trash and other things. Did anybody, I'm understanding you're storing antique furniture and garden tools. But you said, are you going to store cars in there as well?
Should I?
Well,
I don't know if you've been down Third Street.
yeah, I have.
Have you?
I go through Yreka every day. Yeah. And I've been down Third Street. It's one of my,
Those pictures I showed you.
yeah.
I mean, it's falling down. I'm trying to improve it.
Yeah.
What would you prefer?
No, I'm not.
Would you?
I think it's great that you're looking. What I'm looking at, I'll tell you, being on the historic commission for 10 or 12 years, I'm looking at making sure that it's as historic as we can get it. You can drive through my neighborhood and you'll see the same thing. There's my house, but then there'll be houses that are decrepit. People don't take care of them. Now, unfortunately, that's the human nature. We don't have the ability to change.
Does that have to do with me building?
I'm actually going to bring this back to you,
Fine.
Mr. McCoy.
That's fine.
Thank you. Thank you.
So those are things that I would need for me to vote on it, you still vote on it, but for me to vote on it tonight, again, through what I was taught for California League of Cities, I would need to have all the information. So.
Thank you. Thank you. Mr. Davis?
Thank you, Madam Mayor. Appreciate that. There's only a couple of things that I apologize. Gravel here. That I noticed was that there was no power and water hooked up to it. And so I kind of wondered about that. We had a shed built and we did have power. The water wasn't necessary. And then it's mouse resistant, I hope, because there's a lot of mice around and you're going to put furniture and stuff in there. So it's got to be mouse resistant too.
The way they manufacture them now, it comes with a seal. There's not a problem.
Okay.
It's not an issue.
See, I didn't know that.
It's completely built to code. This is a California builder that builds them. I mean, we went snow load. We've done everything we needed to do with Yreka to make it acceptable.
All right.
I'm not building some stick shed back there that's gonna fall down. I mean, it's gonna fall over. It's a metal building and it's sharp. You put one on Linux and it's a beautiful building. It adds to the neighborhood. You're gonna have people wanting to live in this neighborhood instead of running away.
Well, you have a lot of room for it.
It's a half-acre lot.
It's a big lot.
Like she said.
I know.
It's a perfect fit.
All right. Okay, that's the only thing I had to say.
So just real quick, so this project checks the boxes as it falls under the municipal code, the general plan, and one other thing. Is that correct?
Yes.
As per required for the city to build something.
Yes.
And it also complies within the required for the accessory buildings, the graph here, pardon me, the boxes you have here.
Yes.
The front, the rear, the side, and all that kind of stuff.
Yeah, the
All this stuff
setbacks. Yes.
addresses
And
all.
the development standards. Yes.
Okay, that's all I have. Thank you.
And it's my understanding that if we do not want to approve this project, that we have to have specific findings according to the municipal code, correct?
That's
I mean,
correct.
Can't just say
That's correct. You would have to have very specific reasons.
Okay.
Backed by evidence.
All right. So I believe that you have demonstrated to us this evening that this project meets all of the requirements necessary under law, and that the findings, you've done a great job of supporting them according to the law. And so with that, I'm going to go ahead and make the recommended motion to approve resolution 2026-27 of the City Council of the City of Yreka, approving conditional use permit 2026-38 for the construction of an accessory storage structure within the R1, which is the single family residential zone, and the historic downtown district, and adopt a class 3 new construction or conversion of a small structures categorical exemption under the California Environmental Quality Act, CEQA, at 403 3rd Street. And this is, excuse me, assessor's parcel number 053-202-060.
I will second that motion.
I have a motion by Councilmember Baker, second by Councilmember Davis.
May
You heard the motion.
May I ask for our attorney to weigh in for a minute on procedure?
What's your question?
You had told me that it's a secondary motion can be made. This was earlier in a meeting, probably 4, 6, 8 weeks ago. Since the second has been made, I can't make a motion then. Is that correct?
If there's a motion made that passes, then I believe your time has passed to make a secondary motion.
Thank you, Julia. Thank you.
Thank you. Okay, will the clerk please take a roll call vote?
All those in favor of approving resolution 2026-27, please signify by saying aye. Councilmember McCoy.
I am going to say that absent the things that I asked for, I can't vote for it. I would vote nay. If I had a chance to look at the style of material and the other questions that I posed to both the owner and to Alia, then I would probably have no problem voting aye. But at this point in time, because I don't have enough information, again, what California Cities has taught me is that you don't abstain, you vote no. So I will have to vote no.
Councilmember Davis.
Yes.
Councilmember Claire.
Yes.
Councilmember Baker.
Yes.
Thank you. The motion passes.
Thank you.
Thank you. And if it's all right with the council, I'd like to take a 7-minute break. Yes.
Julia, we are taking a 7-minute break.
Thank you.
Taking a break? I just getting wound up.
Juliana had indicated when I met with the city manager, that we could look at be able to look at the metal and have some of these questions answered.
Yeah.
That's why that's not aimed at him, not aimed at you. It's just,
They're valid questions.
I've seen so many metal buildings when I lived in Southern California rural that went up and they so nasty and people hated them.
All right.
Thanks for your help.
Yes, sir.
Appreciate it. Thank you. Hi, Leah. Thank you.
I got some. Busy this summer. These projects. They only give that, they only give 5 pieces. You gotta get the whole thing. That before that. Yeah. Yes. I'll go. No, I haven't. I haven't. I moved over to. Doing good. Oh, yeah. Too busy today. Old people, yeah. It's all like
On the 18th, so I think we can hang out.
I mean, that doesn't match. You want to good. Yeah, that's what the team's down with that. So
Yeah.
even that place.
Right, right. Because yeah, but definitely they have to be yeah, because you want the little dog absolutely separate, a whole road, so you can.
We have to have a little dog and a big dog.
Yeah.
And big water.
No, down here it's gonna.
Oh, yeah. Right.
I don't know, you know, we talked about potato starts with ground. And, you know, I'm thinking you first.
Talked about fire. You buy a house and okay. You gotta file. Right.
And a girl. Yeah.
Well, he doesn't want that.
Madam Mayor, I believe we are ready to go back.
On direct approach.
Yeah. Okay, I'm going to bring the meeting back to order, and on the agenda, we are at item 8C, our fire chief. This is discussion and possible action on approving a length of service award for Yreka Fire Department volunteer firefighters. Chief Lemus, good evening.
I'm sorry, real quick, if members of the audience could please keep discussions to themselves. Thank you.
So to give a little background before the chief presents the item, at your November 2025 meeting, both the city attorney and I listened to the feedback and the direction that you have. And so what's before you is what the recommendation of the fire chief is. Julia has been well briefed on this item. She is online as well, the city attorney. So if you have questions as you go through this, she will be able to provide you some background as well. So.
Thank you, Mr. Ebershoff. Thank you, Madam Mayor, members of the council, members of the public, volunteer brothers. So as Mr. Ebershoff mentioned, this is an item that was been on the agenda probably a year ago. And the code 2.28.180 municipal code for the Yreka Fire Department advisory board was eliminated back at that point, and it was able to come back for review again in November. And at that point, it was decided probably 7 months later that we would take this up again, and we appreciate that. So a little background on this particular ordinance. It was been in existence for 54 years. Came in 1971 and was vetted through some legal channels at the time through former attorney Larry Bacon and Mr. Correa. Anyway, so it's been in existence for this long, and dozens of firefighters through the fire department have benefited from this and spent 20, 30, 40, even as many as 50 years as members. And from that standpoint, as fire chief for 10 years and volunteer for over 20, I can tell you that knowing when you're on scene and you have experienced firefighters that show up on scene, especially when you're the one calling the shots, that the experienced firefighters that have trained and put their time and effort in have become invaluable. It makes the scene run that much smoother. And, you know, from that standpoint, you can't say enough good things about that. This was never considered a quote unquote retirement. There were no stipulations for requirements for meetings, minutes, etc. The chief and or assistant chief, the incident commander, could depend on an experienced firefighter to pump the engine, lead a crew into a burning structure, extricate a patient from a vehicle accident, or ensure proper medical care in a variety of different situations, something that you depend on in the time of need. So to be effective at these tasks, it takes years of experience and dedication, and that time on the job makes a huge difference on the responses themselves and also for training. Anytime there's a seasoned veteran, seasoned firefighter, they can definitely help with getting the young folks, the young firefighters trained to the proper level. From a practical standpoint, as an example, when the McKinney fire and Grade fire threatened the city of Yreka, I personally witnessed on both of those, as I was chief at the time, that these same individuals that put in many years in the department, not all of them had 20. There was others that had 15 and other terms, that they just came to the station and asked what they could do. These are the kinds of things that that happen when you have people that care about their community and about how their department can serve them. So we're only asking for a restoration of the program as it was instituted some time ago, 1971, which would be, we prefer a local program, and it was working well. I know in past discussions with many service groups, when we were trying to get the Measure V passed, we explained to them they'll always need volunteers because we probably will never have that ability to pay for that many firefighters to run as many shifts as we need in all the different situations. You're always going to need volunteers, realistically. And this is a great way, by restoring this program, to keep members of the department on the roster. As you see in your packet, there's some examples in there of individuals that are currently eligible for the 20 years, which is what is called for is what we're asking for, is to recognize those firefighters that have served 20 years or more at age 60 or older, and maintain a monetary award from age 60 or older for 10 years. And those individuals that are on there, most of them are in the audience tonight, and those are some of the same folks same firefighters that I referred to as far as, when they showed up to, find out, hey, what can we do to help you, Chief? We know it's a pretty dire situation right now. And on many, many incidents on actual emergencies. I can't say enough good things about that. And the dedication that was seen on many levels throughout the years is a testament to, what was developed over the years. So we respectfully request a restoration of this Volunteer Firefighter Length of Service Award. And at this time, I would appreciate or ask that you have any questions for me, I'd be happy to answer them.
So thank you very much. I'm going to open it up to the council for questions to the chief and or the city manager or the city attorney. And I actually am just going to step out on a limb and go first this evening. So Chief Lemus, can you explain to me exactly how this program worked? Who was eligible for it, at what time, how much money they were eligible for, and who administered the payment?
Sure. So the way this program worked was, and like I say, it was codified in the ordinance that I mentioned, that you have a copy of that in your packet. And upon coming into the department, the members were informed of this program. And once they had 20 years in, they were, at age 60, they were informed they were eligible to receive a monetary award. Currently, I think with the payment stop last year, they were approximately $125 per month. And I think there was a bump from something less than that in 2011, as it shows in the ordinance. I'm sorry, what was the other part of your question, Madam Mayor?
And who administered those payments? Was it the city?
Yes, between the city and the fire department. City was notified by the fire department when someone became eligible, and then we had sent them a letter stating member Smith or whoever is eligible and meet all the requirements. And from that point, they would put them onto the payroll and get those monthly payments.
Can I make a clarification at this point?
Sure. Hi, Julie.
So our municipal code never had a length of service award in terms of what that's being referred to as. I believe it's referring to what was mentioned at the November 2025 meeting, which is a state program, which is entirely separate than what we previously had in the 70s. In the 70s, what's in our code is referred to as a fire department advisory board. And so as that insinuates, an advisory board is meant to advise and be a board to the board of directors and chief of the fire department. It was not written or contemplated in the municipal code at any point in time that it was an award for simply having served. It was intended to be compensation for providing advisory services on a board.
Thank you.
So just a point of clarification as well, there are other programs that are offered, and in researching that, found out through there's a third party firm now that under the California State Firefighters Association that administers the program, but it's extremely expensive, like $50,000 per member to start with, and we're not even anywhere close to that, on this particular item that we would like to see come back. So understanding what Julie had said, all that taken into account, that's the way the program worked, and it was the intention to keep that as a tool to keep firefighters on the department as long as they could, which I've seen the benefits of that time and time again with the ones that stayed for 20 plus years, even the ones that didn't reach there. Just that longevity that they brought to the table, that experience, institutional knowledge, it was really quite valuable, very valuable, and we depended on it. And we had a lot more members when I got in 1994, but I think to bolster that volunteer staff and keep them on board, this is one way to do that.
One other thing I'd like to point out, I wasn't here at the time that this was revised from our municipal code, which was in August of 2025. And so I can't speak to what conversations happened then. However, I believe the main concern with this program in the way that it was functioning and the way that it's being proposed now is that there is a state constitutional ban on gift of public services. And so you cannot give money for services that have been previously provided, being that even for past years of service, we cannot offer a stipend. It has to be for an ongoing prospective service. So that being said, there are ways that you can compensate for consultants or advisors or expert knowledge. However, you cannot provide public money for past time served.
Thank you. I think those are all the questions that I have now. I'll start with Mr. McCoy.
Hey, Jerry, I know that Chief, I know that when we talked at the August meeting and we went ahead and put this off because we've got the fire hall going in, a $35 million fire hall. And that's at the time I thought was more important than for the council to worry about than this. We need to get that built. But I know that at the time, the city manager then tasked you with going out and looking at other programs and coming back with other things. And you've mentioned the one through the state. What other things did you see when you went out that you brought back to either John or to Will?
That one that I mentioned was the only one that I could find, that was, and it was a long time trying to get a hold of the representative to, provide some information on that, excuse me.
But you couldn't find anything else with other volunteer fire departments or that you talked to or anything like that?
No, sir.
Okay. And then just not looking ahead necessarily, because Julie has talked a little bit about that. We know that the laws have changed since 71. We know that. We can't even give dirt away now that we're excavating in the city. We can't give that away. It's a gift of public funds. And we can be nailed for it. Well, Will would and the council would, but what sorts of, you said there are no minutes, there are nothing like that. What sorts of then meetings did you hold with this committee, or how did you bring them together to meet regularly in order to get feedback on things like, for instance, the fires that we had here, or, things, how did it happen even before you and I were even here in Yreka?
Right.
You were.
So I can only speak to what I experienced. And there were no scheduled meetings, no formal meetings, no, calling people say, hey, come on down. They just showed up at the station. Like I said earlier, they showed up when there was a disaster of some sort or, a severe emergency. And they were asking, how they could, how can we help? What do you need? Because they knew the rest of our crews were, patrolling, doing other things, protecting the city. And, you know, if in a pinch, yeah, to put them to work, you know, doing, pumping the engine, whatever it took, getting supplies, all those kinds of things. So that's how that worked.
Okay, so I just want to be clear. So in essence, it wasn't necessarily getting feedback, it was getting physical help.
Yes.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you. Mr. Davis?
Yes, my question is, the program we had before was an advisory board instead of a retirement. Is that legal now? I guess I asked that of Julia.
Yeah, what I'll say about that is that I would caution about codifying a committee and that becomes a Brown Act body. So if the city council were to create a committee by ordinance, resolution, any kind of formal action, and they would then have subject matter jurisdiction over fire department matters, it's going to be considered a legislative body under government code section. I think it's 54952, somewhere around there. But then they're subject to all of the Brown Act requirements for public meetings, like the council is. So that adds a lot of compliance obligations and procedural complexity for anything to be considered a committee. There's I would say more of an opportunity for individual consultation with people on an ad hoc basis, and then terminating when that project or advisory matter is completed, to better reflect some kind of a management consultation process rather than any kind of ongoing public body. Does that answer your question?
Well, it probably did more than a simple yes or no.
I mean, I would just say that in the way that it was functioning, that's not a Brown Act compliant committee. So no, in that sense, unless they wanted to become their own legislative body. But like I'm saying, that's like not what this specific item is referring to.
And then, Mayor, and I'll have Julia chime in on this. It was my understanding, the research that I did, that if they provide a service, we can come up with some way to compensate them. But if they don't provide a service, it smells and looks more like a pension than anything else, because it's just a check they get in the mailbox. So Julia, am I right or wrong on that one?
Yeah, you're correct. In that, long story short, you can reimburse people for providing their time and expert advice, but it has to be prospective moving forward. So it has to then be well documented that the city is not paying a gift of public funds. So documentation would need to be what work is being requested, how much time, what compensation is, why that's reasonable, why this is a city need, like what need this work is filling. And like I said, that has to be a prospective program where compensation is given for a specific service.
I have one more question.
You have the floor.
Thank you very much. I appreciate that. My last question is how will we, let's say we proceed, how would we fund this program? And I think that's towards you.
That would be mine. Basically, we would use part of the sales tax revenue that we have set aside for the fire department and to pay the paid staff. We get a little over $2 million in that sales tax, at 1% sales tax measure. I'm sorry, I don't remember the letter it was. But we pay the paid staff out of that fund, and then we were going to use that towards the payments of the fire department building out of that fund as well. So we would basically just come out of that, which in a sense is a general fund measure.
Thank you. I just have one more thing. I kind of would like to see us proceed forward with this in some manner, but I think it's really important that we would have something written by our attorney that is totally legal, and so that we can vote on something like that. That's just where my position.
And I'll just say, I have yet to see any other cities create a program of that nature. So we would be forging something that I've only considered hypothetically and have never seen play out. if you wanted to take that approach.
Thank you, Julia.
Councilmember Claire.
You mentioned before a perspective program, I think is what you called it. Do you guys have like kind of an example of what that would look like, maybe off the top of your head? If not, that's totally fine. I was just.
No, that's what I mean in terms of answering all these questions in terms of hypothetically that being an option are just to differentiate where you can use public funds prospectively versus for past service. I have not seen any cities create a program for a prospective use of public funds for services for retired volunteer firefighters.
Got it. So there's like not a template basically, or some other cities use that you could use as an example. That makes sense. Okay.
No, and I've consulted several of the other attorneys at CHW, and yet nothing exists that we've seen for volunteer firefighters that have retired in that capacity.
Thank you.
That's it.
I'm gonna save mine for.
Okay.
At the appropriate time.
So I actually do have another question. And forgive me, I probably should know this, Chief Lemus, but I don't. Is there a 501c3, a nonprofit component tied to the fire department?
Yes, we have the Yreka Firefighters Association is a 501c3.
And how do you get funds for that?
The funds that go to the association come from the budget when we run X number of calls in a year. So we run 2,000 calls in a year. A portion of those calls, the responses for that go to the association, just as it did before for a fire department fund before we formed that 501c3s. And it's $3.50 a call roughly, and the firefighter gets $10.50.
And the $3.50 or the $3 that goes to, I'm just going to call it a foundation, to your foundation, is that voluntarily given by the firefighters, or is that an agreement that the fire department has with the city?
My understanding, it's a fire department agreement with the city. It was the fire department. I think Mr. Mallory can speak to that better than I, because it was in existence for a number of years before I came on. But yeah, it was from the city to the association for, they could buy things for the station to, like, different food items and whatnot. So they come back from a call, they have snacks and other stuff in there, water, whatever it was. But that was given as, kind of a thank you at the time for, taking care of that, having those items there at the station for the firefighters.
And I would,
thank you.
I have not been asked to research the 501c3, but I am aware that typically those organizations are separate from the city. And that's something that then their own board, it's like their own corporate entity, essentially totally separate from the city. So they can explore with their own board what they do with the 501c monies, but that would be their own thing separate from the city, in my knowledge of other 501c3 type entities.
So my question to you is that if the fire department's foundation wanted to fund some type of award or to retired volunteers, could it go through the 501c3? Is that a possibility, or is that a question that is even fair to ask you at this time?
Hypothetically, I'm not their attorney, so I can't speak to what their process is for approving what they do with their 501c3 funds. But if that was something that they wanted to pursue, they could certainly explore that as their own entity.
Thank you.
And then, Mayor, to clarify, it's $3.50 per call per volunteer. And the last couple of years is bringing in roughly $22,000.
Thank you. Thank you. last opportunity to ask questions of the chief.
Chief, when you were doing your deep dive, did you ask questions of like other fire departments about like double dipping? Do we have an issue? I mean, one of the things our previous attorney talked about and our two city managers ago was this it could be a form of double dipping, which we know is now not allowed in the federal government gets pretty upset about it. I know because when I talked to Jason about one of the things he said was, Paul, we're worried because this may come back not only on us but on our firemen, where they end up having to pay back $15,000 or $16,000 over a 10-year period. So what did your research tell you on that?
There was no connection or correlation between the initial payment for, someone serving 20 years in a program that had a length of service award and any other payments that would be coming in. No discussion at all about double dipping, so to speak.
So no discussion or
it didn't come up.
Okay. Thank you.
And Paul, and I'm not sure if you were getting at this or not, but typically volunteer firefighters are not members of CalPERS, so that wouldn't be an interaction there.
Well, we have quite a few volunteer firefighters because our number one employer up here is city, state, county, federal government. That's our number one employer in the county. So we're, including myself, we're top heavy there. That's the only reason I brought it up, Attorney Julia. Okay.
Okay, thank you.
And then if it helps, the HR director did do some research as well during his tenure as your interim. So John, did you have anything you wanted to add?
I actually have a couple questions for John that I think would be helpful if he's able to come to the podium.
He would love to, Julia.
I'm sure. Because just to remind everybody, the motion at November 2025 was to direct the city manager or his designee to research the feasibility of implementing a length of service award for Yreka volunteer firefighters, including implementation through California State Firefighters Employee Welfare Benefit Corporation or at a local level, and identify potential costs of the program and program eligibility. When we're talking about the state program, that's what we're referring to from that motion. And John has done some research on that, and I can't remember the specifics of what he found, but John, could you remind me what those potential costs and eligibility looked like for that program?
Absolutely. So I did reach out to the management company for the Volunteer Firefighter Length of Service Award through the state of California. Just looking at the feasibility of what would it take to get in. And some of the numbers match exactly what Mr. Chief Lemos mentioned was, first off, can we enter? And according to, I believe her name was Vicky, they were not accepting new members. They were not accepting new member cities. And if you were a current city participating, they were not accepting members within that city or department. So that was kind of issue number one. They did mention an approximate cost of $50K if we were looking at basically funding it. Although since they weren't taking new members, we didn't really explore that option much because it wasn't a possibility. They had recently, I believe, raised it from age 60 to 65 because they had basically funding issues. This was a very popular program back in when it was originated, and they had mentioned to me that the shift has been more to go towards stipends over the last, say, approximate 15, 20 years. So offhand, without my notes in front of me, I think they went from approximately 50 agencies to 5, and they were not accepting new members. They were just trying to keep the program alive to pay the people, the volunteer firefighters who were eligible for as long as the fund would last. So that is my understanding of that when I researched it and talked to the firm.
Thank you, John. I just wanted to circle back to clarify that we had done that research from the direction that was given back in November 2025 and get that information to you.
Mr. Elsnap, I have a question for you. So the program that you described that is administered by a state agency, that is specifically a length of service award versus the advisory board. Is that correct?
That is to my understanding. That is correct. It had some, I think it even had some death benefits built into it. And it did have it did have some standards on how long someone had to volunteer for. I believe it was somewhat similar to ours as far as the 20 years. And they had some age requirements. You would start receiving benefits, I believe, at age 60. That eventually went to age 65. But that was the carve out in the law that I was aware that where if we were going to make a program, that seemed like a legitimate path to go.
I have another question. I just have to figure out how to phrase it, how to ask it. I'm sorry, it just left me. So maybe it'll come back around, but thank you.
Thank you.
So what we're discussing here for the title is the length of service award is what we're discussing as the topic. And I'm just trying to clarify for all this too. So that is separate in general, basically, and separate than the payments back to the firefighters that have retired. Is that correct? Is this kind of intertwined?
I don't know what the original intent was 50 years ago, but I know the language of the Muni Code was an advisory board, and I am not aware that it had reference retirement. Now, whether that was the plan years ago, it could have very well been. I only looked at it from a current perspective of it's a board. It's a board of advisors. So I guess I'll.
And to add to what he's saying, that's correct, John. What this agenda title is for a length of service award. And the previous municipal code was an advisory board. So those are distinguishable in that sense, even if the advisory board was functioning as a way for retired firefighters to get some type of award, if you want to call it that. But those are two separate things.
Thank you.
I remember my question now. So the state agency that it is administered the length of service award, you've told us that they're no longer accepting new agencies and they're down to 5. So the agencies that belonged in this program, I'm assuming that they had council action and that it was similar to a retirement plan that they belonged to, and that there were payments that were made to this organization to fund it. It wasn't just a fire department saying, we're going to do this and here's the money.
I don't, to answer your question, Mayor Baker, I'm not sure what the approval process was, how to codify it. I think the intent of it at one time was to incentivize people staying in a department to get this benefit. So.
Thank you. You did a really good job of answering that kind of long-winded question.
I'm not sure at what point in time there were entities still joining that state program. I believe it was a while ago, and part of the reason that it's been a dying program is because of whether there's no longer a need for volunteer firefighters in the same way that there was. I think there was a period of time where there was a bigger retention problem. And I'm not sure exactly when the time frame was that was an active program, so I can't speak to how that got approved.
Thank you. Okay, so if we have no other city staff input, no other questions, I'm going to open it up to public comment at this time. Does anybody have any public comment?
Change my script now. Good evening, Rick Dean. I am a resident of Yreka, reside at 326 Herzog Boulevard. First of all, I want to thank Mayor Baker and the council for bringing us back. Excuse me. Yeah. This has been a contention in our craw for a time, right? You think about this whole conversation, the ordinance was put in place by some wise individuals. Understanding the advisory board conversation along with that, but the intent of that was to maintain longevity of firefighters in a volunteer fashion. And it has paid full to our community, to the city budget, to the taxpayers' burden of taxes, to a huge amount. And in place, you cannot find a better investment to go down that road and defer your initial teeny tiny cost out 20 years to incorporate years of service of dedicated people that maintain integrity, develop the department, as Chief Lemus mentioned earlier. That skill set is difficult to acquire and maintain within the volunteer organization. It's different than a paid CAL FIRE, whatever, right? You have full-time on training, paid people that are competing for jobs. It's a whole different scenario with the volunteer fire department. And what was put in place 54, 55 years ago was amazing. It was very, very wise. It's just such a shame to see that it was cast to the side. This is a very effective tool. It's a needed tool, especially now, 30 years ago when I was in participation, the volunteer fire department was very healthy. That's not the case now. And with the restructuring that you have going on here currently, it's really only a few paid individuals. The primary heart is still the volunteer aspect of it. And I'd encourage the council to find a way, legalese, to recreate, even if it's own specific to the city of Yreka, to maintain that incentive for yourselves, for the community. Previously, during arguments that were presented before, it was spoken that basically, because there's volunteers, they do what they do, they volunteer, they're not really, should expect any compensation of any sort. Well, I agree with that in full. But we need to look at some differences that occur with volunteer organizations.
Mr. Dean, your time is up.
It is already. Can I acquire additional time from another member?
We typically don't do that.
Going to be atypical?
What?
Okay.
Yeah, we haven't done it before. Your time is up. Thank you.
Okay. I would just, in closing, highly encourage the council and the city to develop a program that is effective. It is extremely needed.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Good evening, Madam Mayor and members of the council. My name is Mike Mallory. I was about a 40-year resident of Yreka, on the volunteer fire department for 27 years. And during that time, I was the secretary treasurer for 22 of those years, and dealt with the retirees that came through. They are approaching 20 years, and feeding that information to the city, which was basically handled through the payroll department. I've got a copy of my W-2 form here for the 2025 partial year award that I received, and it was just paid on a W-2. through the county, the city's payroll. And what I'm wanting to do, hopefully we'll cut through some of the red tape here. The motion that was made on November 18th, it said, including implementing through the California State Firefighters Employee Welfare Benefits Corporations, and now I add emphasis, or at a local level. That is what I'm asking your council to push forward to investigate, and because it's always been a locally implemented and funded program. It doesn't have to be pre-funded like what John was talking about, and that system is having trouble right now. This was always handled through the yearly budget. And you'll note on Jerry's memo that it's at most $10,000 to $12,000 per year to fund that program. I did a little research a year ago when this issue came up and worked with John, very helpful, but he told me at that time that he was going to have to work with Chief Lemus, and that, you know, that was just the way it was. So I let it go. I fed that information to Jerry, and then just kind of monitored it as the year went on. Here we are rolling right into the deadline, August 4th. And I don't know that we have those questions answered, how it can be implemented locally, but that was part of the motion, and at least that's my interpretation of it. And so I don't know that you have all the information before you to make that decision. But okay.
Thank you.
I'll just respond briefly. I know public comments aren't the time that we take up a full discussion, but can just briefly reply. The verbiage of the motion from 2025 November was specifically implementing a length of service award or at a local level. And as we have researched, we cannot provide a length of service award because that is a gift of public funds. So what has not been researched would be an entirely different program, but specific to a length of service award, that is what we have researched and would be considered a gift of public funds.
Thank you.
Mariatri. Let's be the first city. Be a city of excellence. You know, find a program that actually works to pay back the volunteers that care about your city, that are there. If you fall and break your leg, they're probably going to be the first ones to run to your help. And instead of not helping them in their need and their time of being done, it just is ridiculous. So let's be the first city, be a city of excellence, so that all the other cities and all of the other states can turn and look and say, look what you guys did for the people who helped you. Amazing.
I'm a little bit tall. Okay, that's perfect. Okay, good evening, Madam Mayor, members of the jury. I mean, members of the council, thank you. Yes, my name is Leah Dean. I am Rick Dean's daughter. Pretty much growing up, I grew up around the fire station, and all the members who talked today, all the guys I grew up with, they're like second family to me, and I know that the rules have changed and all that, and I shall be brief, but if we could figure out a better program, a better way to repay these, to repay these guys who would jump in and do anything for us, who would just go out there and do it for us because, well, I'm kind of pretty much of a coward, but they would just go in there and do it, save everybody's butts and all that. So, but if we could find a better, efficient program that would help repay these guys, that would be really great because just chucking that 50-plus-year-old program that they established out the window and not doing anything, that would be considered a really great disservice to them and to everyone in this community. So if we could think of a better, efficient way to repay these guys back for what they've done for us, for the jobs they've done, for getting in there and doing that, that would be really great. And yes, I will be brief, but yes, if you would consider this, thank you.
Is there any other public comment? If not, I'm going to close public comment and bring it back to the council for our deliberation and possible action. What's that? Absolutely, Mr.
I think it goes without saying that everybody, not just us up here, but everyone supports our fire department, our volunteers. For me personally, there's a lot of questions that I need answered still for this whole thing. I have no problem with looking at options for a program. I just, we're looking at this. There's so much stuff going on here. We have the 501c3 option that might be something we could look into. Like Mr. Mallory mentioned, there's some things that maybe we don't have all the answers to all the questions. For me, I would like to see this to continue on a discussion, but with some more questions answered so we can maybe identify a program that would work. That is also, as Mr. Dean said, legal, fiscally responsible. So we're checking all the boxes also, but also doing the right thing of servicing the firefighters that served our community for a long time. That is what I am requesting, is that for my end, just more time to look at this, work with Julia, work with staff, Chief Lemus, whoever, that we can answer, identify questions and possible things that we can look to see what we can offer. I have no problem with figuring out a way to do this if we can do it by checking the boxes properly. And that's where I am with it. And that's what I feel we got to do is, as long as we can legally cover it, it covers our basis, no one gets in trouble, no one doesn't cost us anything or whatever. That's important, obviously. So for me, I just would like to continue looking at this and look at our options. That's all. Thank you.
Thank you. Mr. McCoy? Who? Mr. Davis?
Thank you. I again, like I said before, I'd like to see us proceed forward and look at the options, as Mr. Clare has stated, make sure that it's legal and make sure we have funds to fund the program. And that's what I'd like to see.
Thank you. Mr. McCoy?
Thank you. Mr. Davis, I don't disagree with you, but if funding the program means that we're breaking the law, I don't want to do that for us. For the five of us that are going to sit here and this man and for our office and for the firemen. I think Mr. Mallory made a good point. He talked about where are we right now? And perhaps we don't know where we are, because what I'm hearing from the people that are involved in the volunteer fire department is they're not sure. They're still looking at some kind of a longevity, but tied to service. And what we're hearing from our city attorney, Julia, is that we can't do those sorts of things. So we can't go out. I mean, we shouldn't go out and break the law or ordinances that are set up for cities within California. Mr. Dean made a good point. He said, last Tuesday night, we didn't have a packed crowd here. We had very few people. We gave permission we passed the permission on to our city manager to continue with a $30 to $35 million loan for a new fire hall. I have heard for the last 25 years, we need a new fire hall. And it's one of the things that I ran on. I didn't do it. This was done by everybody, including, the people that went out and campaigned for the 1% sales tax, because we wouldn't have it for that. We all know that a volunteer fire department costs less than a paid fire department. We know that between Chief Lemus and Chief Dirksen, their departments will eat up 80% of our city budget. It's just a fact. It is. It's like in the years that I taught and that you taught, Mr. Davis, we know that 75-80% of our budgets were eaten up by teachers, aides, and personnel. There was a comment made by Mr. Dean that let's see, it disturbs him that we are spending. Oh no, he said primary. I think primary is the heart. Primary heart of the fire department, something like that. And I'm not trying to pick on you, Rick, is the volunteers. And I think it has been, but we're moving towards, my understanding, a hybrid fire department, which will then change everything. It'll change the 501c3 will eventually cease to exist. The volunteer fire department will cease to exist. The primary focus for funding will be on two more firefighters, and then there will be payment, a different payment scale for the reserves, what we call reserves. Now that may be something that I'm going off in 5 months. That may be something that this council will completely change. I don't know. Maybe they'll decide we don't need a $35 million file. I mean, this one, maybe we won't. But I'm concerned that we're talking not the fire, not fire, not YFD, not the chief, not the council, but I'm concerned that somewhere here we've got apples and oranges. We're not talking about the same thing. Because we can't, we've heard from our attorney that if we do a length of service without anything tied to it, we're violating codes. We're violating laws. We've also heard that from our firemen that they want something to show our respect for them and our love for them for spending 20 or 30 or 40 years. I think they had one fire department when I first moved there, one guy that ended up spending 50 years on it. I think Chuck Ling might have. But we're not going to do it tonight because we're talking about apples and oranges. What we're looking at doing and what Julia is suggesting to us is that firemen, there are two ways you can do it, but that if the chief wants to hire firemen, volunteers to do certain jobs, that would be one way to pay them. And I think I know what the volunteer fire department is, I think what they're saying is, well, we just want to be given an attaboy in the form of $125 a month for so many years after our service, which again, we're hearing from Julia that we can't do. And we've already done away with that whole code. And again, 54 years ago, speed limit was 70 miles an hour all over Southern California when I lived there, but now it's not. It's 55 and 60. Things change. And so, we have to make sure as a council that we change with the city. It's not a horrible amount of money that anybody's asking for, but it's not a horrible amount of dirt that some people have asked for when we go, hey, we're taking out 500 cubic yards here. Sorry, we can't give it to you because it's a gift of public funds. It gets the city in trouble. And that's the one that the five of us and him, we're the ones that'll take it. And we're the ones that if the state steps in, anyway. So I think, if we're going to pursue this, we need a whole lot more direction on it. A whole lot more to pursue it. We're at a point where, it's a dead item. Right now. And we brought it back and it is what it is, but when we're doing 30 to $35 million in a fire hall and we're having to worry about 12,000 a year. I don't know. Maybe we should, again, maybe the fire hall isn't the thing we need. Maybe we don't need the fire. Maybe we keep this fire hall and we hire 4 or 5 more firefighters over there. I don't know. You know, full times. Yeah.
Thank you.
All right,
Thank you, Mr.
so
McCoy.
So
I'd like to make some comments and then thanks. So, first of all, I just think that, the council has made it very, very clear that we support our volunteer firefighters. And, but our attorney has made it very clear to us that to continue the compensation as it was set up, the way that it was in the 70s is no longer legal, and we can't do that. And that has just been because the laws have changed. There are a lot of possibilities that are out there, it sounds like, to make some type of to do some type of recognition to our volunteer firefighters. And I actually would like to see more information flowing from the fire department on the volunteers. I mean, so often we don't know anything about them. We don't know when they retire. We don't know when somebody's hit a 10-year mark. There are a lot of ways to acknowledge the firefighters. And Mr. McCoy, I think you are going to want to record this and keep it forever. I actually agree with you that we're mixing apples and oranges. I really do. So, how to approach this? I really would like to have an ad hoc committee formed that is a couple of council members working with a couple of members from the fire department to come up with some ideas for compensation. I don't think that it's up to the 5 of us, but to come up with, this is what we're going to do. It's abundantly clear to me that we cannot offer the length of service award, the advisory committee, that is really clear to me tonight that is illegal. But that's what I would like to propose, and for the ad hoc committee to meet for a brief period of time to come up with some ideas on how we acknowledge the wonderful service that these firefighters have provided to us. I'm going to stop there. Mr. Ibershoff.
okay, well, this changes my question then. So, for clarification, you're looking for an ad hoc committee made up of 2 council members, whoever wishes to volunteer for it, to work with the fire chief and whoever he designates as the additional individual to come up with a plan. What I can do is explore options with Julia, what legally we can do, and then turn a report over to this ad hoc committee, and you folks can decide what you want to do. It sounds like, and please tell me if I'm wrong, and I agree wholeheartedly with you, the volunteers do significant work for the fire department. I just don't know how to do it legally without getting ourselves in trouble, because what I most of all don't want to do is get the volunteers that receive the payment in trouble.
Yes.
Exactly.
That's the worst thing that could happen in this whole thing.
That was Jason's worry.
Getting Paul McCoy in trouble, that I'm open to that every day.
Nobody cares.
So, but getting a firefighter who's volunteered in trouble is not what we want to do. So how about you decide who your council members are? The chief will decide who he brings along on this boat ride. And Julie and I will put together basically a memo that says these are some options, because we already know what we can't do. Let's talk about potential ideas that we can do.
And
I also want to clarify, thank you for adding that, because that was what my question was also, in terms of what is it that is the need that we're looking for a solution for? Because I'm hearing acknowledgement and then I'm hearing compensation, and those are two different options. And the compensation option is going to be pretty limited. What I hand this ad hoc committee in terms of what they can and can't do is going to be like two hypothetical possible things that they can look at. Acknowledgement is going to be a much bigger basket.
No,
So I'm gonna
appreciate that, because that's exactly what my next question is. Does this group want us to explore compensation or acknowledgement?
I would like to see the ad hoc committee come back with a recommendation on that.
On what?
On either recognition or compensation.
Okay, so recognition, the sky is available. Compensation will be really limited to that, just as Julia mentioned. So we'll put something together, and then it'll be up to your group to decide what you want to do.
So Julia,
Unless the fire chief wants to work directly with the city attorney, that is an option as well.
May I make a suggestion?
City clerk.
Madam Mayor, I would just like to remind this council that it is an election year. So in December, we possibly might be seating 3 new council members. So if an ad hoc committee is formed with council members, it needs to be 2 that are not up for re-election and or election, because they won't be here in December, if that makes sense. I just don't want members seated if they're not going to be on council next year, and we'd have to do this all over again.
Well, Cindy, the thought is this is a 60-day thing, is my sense.
May I make a suggestion? This city council sits for, again, we need to remember this. We sit for 3 reasons. We pass codes and ordinances. We hire and fire a city manager, and we have a business meeting here where we discuss the budget. This is a budgetary discussion. However, this is day-to-day budget. This is not within our purview to micromanage a city attorney, a city manager, a fire chief, and somebody else. I could live with one person on the committee, but I think the committee is better served with nobody from the council on it. And I think what happens is that if everybody wants to bring somebody with them, you bring somebody with you, Julia brings another attorney if she wants, Jerry brings somebody, and then we have somebody coming out of that office. It might be John Elsnap, because he's the one that has the history since Jason is gone. John has the history, and he can bring somebody with him. But I think I would caution us from staying away from council, because again, we're not high and mighty. We're elected. People think, oh, I'm going to get on council. I'm going to do this. No, we all know it takes 5 of us, or it takes 3 votes to get it done. And we're only here for 3 functions. That's to hire and fire Will's position. And again, do the budget and pass codes and ordinances. That's the only power that we have. So I wanted to point that out.
Thank you.
And I'd also like to remind everybody that this agenda item, the item is to either approve or not a length of service award for the Yreka Fire Department volunteer firefighters. We've discussed that item, and perhaps we need to make action on not approving that, as I would recommend. And if council members would like to make a request for an item at a future agenda with their proposed information for what a committee should or shouldn't be in the future, that can be requested to the city manager.
Thank you. Okay.
Julie, are you sure you didn't mention the assistant city manager who's not in the room tonight? Isn't that the one you had in mind?
Yeah, where's John? We want past interim city manager on that. I'm kidding.
So thank you for that reminder that we had a very specific agenda item. And based on that, I am going to make the motion that the city council takes no further action on the length of service award for volunteer firefighters. That we take no action on it, that
Tonight.
no, just no action.
Yeah, the motion before us is to approve a firefighter length of service award for eligible members at age 60 or older and continuing for 10 years at an amount set by the city council to be administered by the city of Yreka. So we would, I'm just asking, would we vote yes or no on that? Or do we make an alternate motion?
You can make an alternate motion, or you can say that that was the motion and then get yes or no votes, and then it would be recorded that it did not pass, that proposed motion was a no if there were no's to what that was.
Okay.
Or if you prefer to make a motion that would be in the negative of that, you can.
Thank you, Julia. Attorney Julia.
So what are the wishes of the council? There was a motion on the floor that I made, but it wasn't seconded. So that motion has died, if I'm correct. City attorney.
Correct.
That's correct.
You are correct.
Okay.
So quick question here. So we could basically vote on the length of service portion itself that we are technically not able to have right now. Then we can ask and request that we look into this, the ad hoc comes from there.
Absolutely.
So that way we are still looking into the program and doing other things, but we can't do the length of service because legally we can't do it. We're not allowed to do it. So that obviously is what that is. So with the motion, what I have, would it be the vote for that and then add the ad hoc portion onto the motion, or would that be a separate request towards the end with the mayors?
That would be a separate request.
Yeah, later.
Okay.
Statements.
That's all I had.
So I would recommend getting a vote on this one item. You can do it as written on the agenda and we'll get votes on that. And then following procedure for recommending an item on a future agenda, somebody can make a request.
So this is Councilman Claire. I'll make a motion. Say something.
Oh, sorry. I'm thinking to myself.
Okay, to vote no on the length of service agenda item only. That's my recommendation.
Just one question, James. I'm sorry. So is your motion to deny a firefighter length of service award?
Yes.
Okay.
Sorry, just that item that we have to vote on, just that right there.
Okay, perfect. Thank you. So there is a motion on the floor. Thank you.
I'll second that motion. And will the clerk please take a roll call vote?
All those in favor, please signify by saying aye. Councilmember McCoy?
Aye.
Councilmember Davis?
No.
Councilmember Claire?
Aye.
Councilmember Baker?
Yes.
Thank you. The motion passes.
At this time, anybody who would like to make a request can do so for a future agenda item, or according to our municipal code section, you can also make a written request to the city manager if you'd like time to write out and specify what it is that you're requesting beyond a future agenda.
So to reference this item, does council wish to be on this ad hoc committee or not? That's the main question to start with.
I think it's appropriate, but I have respect for Councilmember McCoy. I just disagree. I think it is totally appropriate to have a council member on the ad hoc committee.
James and Drake, what are your thoughts?
I'm fine with if that's the decision of the council, and if it works out as needed, if we decide to just do one person, I will volunteer to do it. If we don't necessarily need two or whatever, but if we just need one, I'll volunteer to help wherever I can. So, correct.
Mr. Davis, how do you feel about an ad hoc committee to look at options for our volunteer firefighters to be compensated and or acknowledged?
I'm in favor of that.
We have a consensus.
We do. All right, thank you. So as I understand the direction, we are to look at the recognition and a compensation model. And then I will work directly with the fire chief and Mayor Pro Tem Claire, and we will with the city attorney, and we'll figure something out. Yeah, we'll figure it out. It'll be between 4 and 5 people. Yeah.
Thank you. Thank you, everyone. Okay, so we're going to move on to our next agenda item, which is city manager and staff reports.
I will send mine out as part of my weekly as well as the directors.
Okay, so we'll move on to Mayor. Excuse me, I have a meeting in progress. Please be quiet. So I'm going to move on to item G, which is the mayor, council members, reports, statements, and requests. Councilmember McCoy.
I have nothing to share tonight. I'm trying to be unloquacious. That's not even a word.
Councilmember Davis.
Well, yeah, I do. The Fire Safe Council met last Tuesday, and there were 5 of us. It was kind of not very well attended, but there's lots of fires going on. So there was 1-4 service, and Chief Lemus and I and Carl were there. So we mostly talked about things that are going on within the city and around the county and stuff. And then Sarah Chaffee was on the Zoom, and this is the most interesting part to me. And that's what I'm going to report on. Today was the day that the goats were released into Greenhorn Park, and I was there, and I was walking my dog in the park, and I came down into the parking lot, and News 5 was there, and I said, "What are you doing?" She says, "Well, I'm going to report on this incident's going on here with the goats." And I said, "Oh, there's 2 truckloads of them right over there." And I mean, 2 truckloads of goats is a lot of goats. And so they ran them down the chute and out into the park, and the first batch hit the blackberry bushes, and they were eating those green bushes. It was pretty cool. I enjoyed every bit of it. My dog was sitting in the pickup whining, so I took her home. So but that was that. And Sarah Chaffee, Matt and Ben were there. And I think they really did a fine job. I had a video, but Cindy didn't want to show it, so we're not gonna.
Drake, you should mention the alternative I suggested.
I know. We're gonna get the alternative at a later date. I think wasn't it Mindy? Cindy did.
Yes, Mindy did go and make a video of the goats in the park, and that will be, I'm sorry, my mic's all messed up.
Well, Greenhorn Park is going to get the goat experience, let me tell you.
Yeah, we will have a video posted to our social media page about the goats probably within the next week.
When I was there, they said there were 900 goats in those 2 trucks. And them guys aren't very big, so there possibly could have been. Somebody said 500 today, but there was a lot of goats. So I hope it's a successful event so we can continue on and make Greenhorn more fire safe than it has been. but it's pretty dry right now. Thank you, Mayor.
Thank you.
Oh, sorry, I said that we would turn it out in writing, but go ahead.
I just wanted to remind council that your guys' argument in support of Measure G is due to me Friday, August 7th. So just a little poke for you. I will have some forms and documents that you will have to come sign before I submit to Laura at the county clerk's office. So just a little reminder about the argument in support of due. Thank you.
Thank you. Councilmember Claire.
Thank you to Teen Challenge for all the work they've been doing, all the painting. It's looking very nice. I appreciate you guys going out there and all the work you're doing, which is a lot, especially it's very hot. Thank you to Public Works, they're painting roads, especially school years coming. I appreciate that. A request I would like to make is when it comes to the Planning Commission, if we could find a way to set aside to bring back the Historic Commission, is that part of it? As part of the Planning Commission as a block of it or part of it, so we can have something that strictly addresses future building possibilities or whatever as they come up in the historical districts. And that's all I got.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
So I just want to say that I appreciate all of the staff time that was devoted to our last agenda item. I know that there was a lot of information that was gathered, so I appreciate staff's input and your efforts. In addition to that, I appreciate that the City Council passed the proclamation tonight regarding Constitution Day. And I am on a citizen committee that is bringing the Freedom Truck Mobile Museum to Yreka on September 18th, 19th, and 20th. And we have some flyers that I'm handing out to you. And I want to invite the public to attend, as well as once again, thank city staff for their help in arranging the location at Upper Greenhorn Park. So with that, with that, we'd like to just congratulate our new police chief, Pat Dirksen, once again. And I know that you're going to do us proud. So thank you very much. And with that, I'm going to adjourn the meeting. This is the longest meeting we've had in years.